Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. In this video, I'm looking at the questions that you should actually ask the car dealer when you're buying your car. This video is very important, especially to first-time car buyers who are buying their cars in Kenya. This is typically for the Kenyan market. So stay tuned. So I insist that you ask these questions before buying a car and not after, because if you ask these questions after buying the car, then they will not be of significant help to you as a buyer. The first question that you need to ask the dealer once you've spotted a car is the status of registration of the car. You understand that all cars must be registered. However, in most of the car showrooms and yards that we have in the country, Mombasa, Nairobi, most of the cars are not registered because Kenyans love the number plate. So they only get registered when you buy them. So the status of registration, when you ask the dealer before you pay, ask them whether the car has been registered. If the car has been registered, then you should also ask the dealer for the logbook. When you're looking at the logbook, you also need to verify the rightful owner of this car in the logbook. You can also cross-check on NTSA portal to see if the details that you've been given on the logbook match with whatever you're seeing. Now, if the car is registered, you'll also expect the dealer to have what is called the physical plate. That is the number plate, like if it is KDP, KDK, I don't know, whatever it is. So there are instances that you will not get the plate. So be very categorical. In the event that the car has just been registered and there's no physical plate, arrange with the dealer how they will send you this physical plate. In this circumstance, you as the buyer, you'll need to procure what is called the Kenya garage plates. Nowadays, they are called KD plates. Those green plates, they used to be red, but that has changed. So you can use this plate, and some dealers would actually extend to you what we call after sale service, and they will be procuring these plates for you. Remember, the plates that you use, the green plates that you use before getting your number plate from NTSA are chargeable per day. So you need to actually factor in this before you talk about paying for the car. If the car is not registered, if you're buying the car in cash, it means that the car is going to be registered at the point of purchase. Most dealers will require like 200,000 deposit instantly, even as you go to transact, or 50,000 or 100,000, to ensure that they only register the car because you committed to buy it. So what they will do is that they will tell you, as you go to the bank to pay for this car, we will start the process of registration, so pay like 100,000. When you do that, before you do that, you need to agree with the dealer who is going to incur the cost of transfer of the logbook. That is, if there is a transfer to be done. Once you've agreed on that, because we understand quite a number of dealers would come around after you purchase the car, then there's the transfer of logbook that will happen. They will tell you now, you have to pay around 10,000 for this particular transfer. Remember, the charges that are stipulated by NTSA on transfer of logbook depends on the engine capacity, that is the CC of the car. So you need to be very, very categorical. Ask the dealer who is going to incur the cost of transfer. Usually it is the client who bears the cost of transfer of logbook. The other bit is that once you've agreed, the next question that you should ask, especially if you're going to buy a car from Mombasa or Nairobi, is the drivetrain of the car. When we talk about drivetrain, we are talking about whether the car is a two-wheel drive or it's a four-wheel drive. Some people may ignore this because they think that is a very trivial kind of information that you need not to worry about. But let me tell you, whether a car is two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive has an impact on your pocket and also on performance of the car. So if you're looking for an off-road car that is going to give you the off-road capabilities, you need to actually focus on getting a four-wheel drive. So dealers have also realized that quite a number of buyers demand for four-wheel drive cars, especially on mid-size SUVs like Mazda CX-5. We have the four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive system, and we have the two-wheel drive. So some dishonest dealers would come around and package the four-wheel drive, the two-wheel drive as a four-wheel drive. So if you don't go around looking for this information before you actually pay for the car, utafika nyumbani unapata the Mazda CX-5 that you've taken is a two-wheel drive. But then they will charge you the price of a four-wheel drive system. There are circumstances when buying a two-wheel drive car is more advantageous as opposed to buying a four-wheel drive car. Remember, for the small cars like the salons, maybe the sedans that we have, the hatchbacks, sometimes the four-wheel drive system will not really come in handy. Four-wheel drive system also means that the consumption of the fuel will be a little bit higher, especially for old model cars. as opposed to the newer generation models that we see on our roads. So cars like Axio, Toyota Fielder, most dealers will package these cars as two-wheel drive most of the time because the demand for two-wheel drive is what is on the high end. However, when these dealers go to buy these cars in Japan, the four-wheel drive system for the Axios, for the Fielders, they are a bit cheaper. So they will go there, then they will remove the markings for four-wheel drive system at the back of these cars and sell for you these cars as two-wheel drives. Also, the other bit that you can see if you're going to buy this car to ascertain whether it's a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive, of course, you'd want to really go and see differential, presence of differentials under the car. If you don't have that information, or you are not automatically, like you're not automotively endowed, you can actually engage the services of people who can help you to actually see whether the car is a four-wheel drive or a two-wheel drive. I am stressing on that point because many people only realize that the car is a four-wheel drive or a two-wheel drive after they have bought it. So the next thing that you should ask the dealer is what we call now the fuel type. People may really think this is a very, very negligible kind of information that you should just assume. We are in a modern automotive environment whereby we've also seen we have EVs, we have petrol and diesel cars. We've seen quite a number of small cars like Mazda, Demios coming in diesel. We've also seen cars like Nissan Note coming in e-power. So the essence of the fuel type in a car really matters to you, especially if you're going to buy a small car. You need to understand that whether you choose a diesel or a petrol, each and fuel type of a car comes with its share of challenges and advantages. So for the small cars, most manufacturers do not manufacture diesel units. For the bigger cars, most manufacturers actually prefer what we call diesel cars, especially for off-road cars. Kiana malori zote zinakuanga diesel. So the aspect of fuel is very, very important, especially on the price factor also. If you're looking at Mazda Demio diesel and Mazda Demio petrol, you realize that the petrol is more expensive than the diesel. And diesel is what is more available in the Kenyan market as compared to petrol. So you need to understand that. So when you're buying, ask, what is the fuel type of this particular car? The other bit that you need to ask before you actually pay for the car is what we call the presence of accessories. And I'll really be categorical when it comes to accessories here. Here we're talking about the presence of spare wheel or the puncture kit. This is very, very important to you as a buyer. We're also talking about the nature of the status of the tire treads, the four tires of the car. So let me talk about the presence of a spare wheel. Of course, hapo utaangalia kama kuna spare tire ama spare wheel, whatever you call it. Kutakuwa na either the wheel spanner, jack, handle, and stuff like that. But I'm more interested in the spare wheel or the puncture kit because this is a very, very important point in terms of the cost that you are going to incur as the buyer of the car. So most cars, you'll find that at the back, you'll find that there's a provision for the spare wheel, but there's no spare wheel. This one means that the dealer did not actually take away the spare wheel. But most cars, when they come from Japan, they either come with the spare wheel or the puncture kit. But majority would nowadays come with the puncture kit. So if there is no spare wheel, just ask the dealer politely to give you what is called a puncture kit. Puncture kit includes there's a sealant that you can use, and also there's a compressor. If there is none of that, you can agree with the dealer to actually discount for you the car for you to either buy a spare wheel or get your own puncture kit. The bit that you need to talk about with the dealer before you pay for the car is the maybe availability of warranty on parts or lack of it. So you realize that most of the cars you are buying are used cars. So some dealers would actually give you warranty on quite a number of parts of the car before maybe they can tell you for 6 months on maybe specific parts of the car. So you want to really ask for that. But remember, those are used cars, and sometimes the dealers sell them as they are. So you need just to find out if the dealer is willing to extend warranty on anything. The other bit that you really need to check before you pay for the car isn't of it to actually what to kosania after kulipia gari. The status of the battery. Do thorough check on the battery of the car because this is another cost center that you need to incur if the battery is bad. Most of the batteries that come from Japan, some of them, most of them, ideally most of them, They come here, some are changed at the port, some are also stolen, so they just replace any other battery. Some are actually worn out. So you need to also agree with the dealer. If the battery is worn out, please make sure that you agree on the cost. Last but not least, you also need to understand the aspect of insurance. Ask the dealer if maybe the car that you are about to purchase is having what is called a pending insurance. This is very, very important because some of the cars have been used in Kenya. So if you just take a car, you leave the showroom, cancelling this insurance may not be easy for you as the buyer, but the dealer may really know if there's a pending insurance on the car, and you can actually ask them to cancel the insurance before you pay for the car. Lastly, you also want to ensure that you see there what we call the sales agreement before you buy the car, because after you buy, that is not when you sign. So before you buy, you can just ask the dealer politely, can I see a sample of your sales agreement, so that you can have that in mind, go through it, so that when you go and pay for this car, you're satisfied. There are so many things that you can look at, but I believe as a first-time car buyer, you want to see that. Also, the last thing that I wanted to say is that before you make that decision to go and buy a car, depending on your geographical location, I'd recommend that you evaluate options, whether you're going to buy a car in Nairobi or Mombasa. Advantages and disadvantages are there. We'll speak about that in our next video, and I hope you'll have a good experience buying a car. I wish you well, and thank you for watching. Until next episode, bye bye.